Let me start off by saying thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to invite me here to speak to you all. Like Dr. Price said, I am a native of Miami, Florida. And as you know, Miami, Florida has the Stand Your Ground law and other laws that have affected my family. And instead of me leaving saying that I'm going to go to another place to try to elude the law, I decided to stay right in Florida and correct the mistake, because it is a mistake. Try to correct the mistake that Florida has made. It took time for Florida and other states to get in this mess, and it's going to take time for us to get out of this mess. So I have a question for you. Does Connecticut have the Stand Your Ground law? Are you sure? If you think Connecticut has the Stand Your Ground law, raise your hand for me, please. I've seen one hand scared to come up. Okay, you're correct. You don't have it, which is a good thing, because it does not work. It is not fair. And that's the reason why my purpose, my life work, is to go around the country and let people know that I am Trayvon Martin. Let me just start from the beginning to let you know that I've never seen myself doing this type of work. I've always been able to help other people in the work that I did do, but never to this capacity. But God has a way of selecting the people that He needs to use. And so what I have to do is I have to be obedient to what God is telling me. A lot of people ask, how did you go through what you went through, losing your son, losing a child? Because the order of life is for your children to bury the mom and dad, not the mom and dad to bury a child. So the absolutely worst thing was not getting a telephone call that Trayvon had been shot. It wasn't even the fact that the person had not been arrested. But the absolutely worst thing was, I'm gonna try to get through this, was to attend his funeral, and it hurts, and to know that he will not be here on earth with me again. Just to see my son, my 17-year-old son, laying in a white casket with a white suit, with a light blue tie on, almost with a smirk on his face, as if he's giving me a signal that things are going to be okay. Almost as if he's saying, I'm gone here on earth, but I'm going to be okay. Almost as if he's trying to comfort me as a mother and he's a child. That was the absolutely worst thing that I could have seen in my life. It was. And it still hurts. And it will always hurt. But by me seeing that, I had two options. One of my options could have been depression, sadness, anger. It's a lot of things I could have been. And I would have been justified in those feelings. But instead, you cannot mess with somebody's child. And a lot of people think that this process did not work and that people could get away with murder. But I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's a such thing as karma, and what goes around comes back around. So instead of, and I did this many a days because I don't want you all to think that I'm some superwoman, that I can do it all, and I'm just so powerful. I'm not. I'm a mom. But I'm the type of mom that's going to fight for what's mine. I'm the type of mom that's going to say, what can I do to help this situation? I have cried many a nights. I have stayed home many a times just thinking about my son, my children, and other families and other children. It's not just about Trayvon anymore. I tell people all the time, I have two boys. I have one in heaven and one on earth. And I will fight for my boys until they lay me in a casket as well. So instead of just staying home and just crying all the time and feeling sorry for myself and sorry for my family, and I went through all of those things. And as you can see, I have no notes. I don't have any notepad because I speak to you from my heart. When I speak, I don't think that I need to write down what I need to say, because I know that the God I serve is going to give me the right words to say to you. So instead of being depressed and angry and frustrated and mad and all the other things that come with it, that's the reason we decided to create a foundation, which is the Trayvon Martin Foundation. And what that foundation does is it empowers families, because it's one thing to lose your child and nobody supports you. Nobody is standing with you. Nobody is praying for you. Nobody is signing petitions for you. It's another thing to have, and I'm not going to say the country, but I'm going to say a lot of people to support us and to support my family. And that's one of the ways we give back for what we have received as a family. We had 2.5 million people to sign a petition that says that they stand in support with us. And that means a lot to us. That means a lot to my family. Because during our deepest hour, that is the time that we were hurting the most, we knew that it was a lot of people in the country that were standing with us, that cried with us, that rallied with us, that prayed with us. So it's an honor to be here, to Connecticut, to Hartford, to Stores, just so I can personally thank you myself for what you all have done for me and my family. Thank you. The next thing I want to talk about is a little bit about the case, because a lot of people think that it's a story. I know you guys are here for Black History. I know it's 45 years since the African American Cultural Center was created, but African American Black history, to me, is not February, it's 12 days a month. It's 365 days a year. I don't get a chance to take off my skin and say, well, it's not Black History Month, I'll wait till Black History Month to put that on. So a lot of you are and can relate to a 17-year-old unarmed teenager, because you heard the story right. You heard the story right. A lot of people want to add things to it to make it sound worse than it actually was. My son was unarmed, unless you consider a drink and candy as armed. At the time, my son was on the telephone with a young lady from Miami, which means he was not paying attention. He did not have any bad intentions or any ill will. He was simply walking back to the resident from the store. And if you could just take a minute to imagine a 17-year-old and the mentality that a 17-year-old teenager has compared to a 28-year-old man, well, you do the math. Because he was 17, and he had just turned 17 on February 5th. So they got that part right. He was 17, but his mentality was of a 17-year-old teenager. How do you know that? Because he bought candy in a drink. He did not buy beer and cigarettes. He bought candy in a drink. So that was his mentality. He, at times, was a little playful, but at 17, most of them still are. So I can't tell you exactly what happened, but just like many of your parents know exactly what you would and would not do, I'm absolutely sure what my son would and would not do. I know he was afraid. It was dark. It was rainy. It wasn't late at night. The time of death was 7:17. So when I hear stories that, oh, it was late at night, what was he doing out late at night? It wasn't late at night. Who doesn't, in here, that does not wear a hoodie? Well, I should say, how many of you do wear hoodies in here? Okay. So it's not necessarily about the hoodie. And I can admit when I'm wrong, because I absolutely thought that it was about the hoodie. But it's not. It's so not about the hoodie. I've had an invitation to interview with Anderson Cooper. And on Anderson Cooper's show, he mentioned that he wore a hoodie to work every single day when it's cold. And he says, guess what? Nobody ever thinks that I'm suspicious. So if this guy can wear a hoodie every day and no one thinks he's suspicious, why is it that when a 17-year-old wears a hoodie, he becomes suspicious? He becomes the criminal. He becomes the one that caused the problem. When in actuality, he was the one that was minding his own business, trying to make it back to his residence. So let's take the hoodie out. What do we have left? We have the color of his skin, which, as I said before, he cannot take off. He cannot take off. I can't stress that enough to you guys. It cannot be our fault that we were born with dark skin. You can't hold that against us. And what I try to do is I try to appeal to people's heart, because regardless of the color of your skin or the color of my skin, there is the same heart that's beating within. If you cut me open right now and cut 20 people open, you will not be able to tell what color they were. But most importantly, it's important that we know that that's the part that does not matter. We have lost the respect for one another. We have lost that. Somewhere in this society, we have lost that principle that regardless how short I am, tall I am, dark I am, light I am, regardless of my religion or my weight or my sexual preference or my education level or my status or my income, I still need to respect you, and you still need to respect me. A lot of people say, don't judge a book by its cover, but people do it all the time. They look at someone and they assume that they're a bad person based on what they see on the outside. And that's not necessarily so. But I still need to respect you, regardless of your religion. I don't have to understand why you do things, but I do need to understand that I have to respect you, and you have to respect me. And I think if this country gets back to that, I absolutely think we'll be in a better position. It's no magic potion. You know, how are we going to get rid of the stand your ground, and how are we going to get rid of the gun laws and the gun owners? I have nothing against gun owners. Absolutely nothing against gun owners. It's how the laws are applied. It's how responsible the person is that's holding the gun. I grew up with a weapon in my house. My dad was a police officer. I respect guns. But I wouldn't go out and shoot someone and kill them and then expected a law to not hold me accountable for what I've done. If I could stress anything to you, it's the importance of the laws. It's the importance of making sure that we know what laws we have, that we're voting on these laws, that we are amending these laws, that we are revising these laws, and that we are registered voters. It's important because you need to elect people in office that are going to support your issues, that are going to support the things that you are for. So you have to make sure that that is something that you are mindful about. Do I think that the Stand Your Ground law is a good law? Absolutely not. Do I think it needs changing? Does it need revisions? Does it need? Yes, absolutely. Because now we have a law on the record that says, based on my perception, because if I perceive you to be a threat to me, I can shoot and kill you and ask questions later. And that cannot be something good. That cannot be something that's left to the interpretation of the person that's holding the gun. Because if I was holding the gun and it's dark and I'm scared, I'm shooting because I'm afraid. So it's all about perception. It's all about what's in your mind. And how do you see other people? And how do you see other people as being a threat to you when the person is simply minding their own business? So, with that being said, I'm sure we're going to take a few questions, but I thank you. I appreciate you for coming out. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for your support. This is the first time that I've visited this state. It's very cold here. And at one time I was saying, because I'm from Florida, I was saying that I was a hot girl, but I learned not to say that, so I'm a sunshine girl. So it's very cold here for me. I mean, I know you guys are not cold, but it is extremely cold here. But it's pretty, it's pretty.
My question for this evening is, what is being done in the state of Florida to correct or change or amend this Stand Your Ground law?
One of the things that's being done is we have spoken to the Judiciary Committee, because it has to go through channels and committees in order for any changes to be made to the law. So we do have a committee that has agreed that they need to review it and they need to make revisions. So that's the start. I mean, you don't just go in and just say, I'm changing the laws, I'm getting rid of it. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen overnight. So that's what we're doing to make sure that these laws are changed. Another thing we're doing is we're trying to make sure that no other states adopt the Stand Your Ground law since Trayvon Martin's death. So that's another plus for us as well. And I don't know if you guys heard it, but yesterday the President Obama came out with a new initiative. It's called My Brother's Keeper. And he is very concerned with African American and Latino young men's lives. So he has invested his time and energy into making sure that some of the obstacles that they are encountering are being removed so that they can be productive citizens, productive individuals to this country and to this society. So those are just some of the things.
Also, can we say really quickly to make sure we can get the maximum number of questions, and if we can kind of concisely pose our question on this side.
My name is Amani Cheeks. I'm a student here. When I first saw the trial, when I saw Sandy Hook, the first question that came into my mind is, how do you forgive somebody like that?
Good question. Let me start off by saying I have not forgiven yet. I have not forgiven. It's going to take some time for me to forgive. And people think that I'm really religious. I'm not. I'm very spiritual, not religious. And I'm still going through the healing process. And so, as you notice, I don't even mention the person's name who murdered my son, because that is not my focus. And I gave it to God, and I can't take it back and say, "You taking too long, God, let me handle this." So I don't focus on that. My purpose now is to move forward. My purpose is the foundation. My purpose is to making sure that Trayvon Martin lives forever and that we are doing something positive, because it's very easy to slip to the other side. And so we want to make sure that we're doing something positive. But I have not forgiven yet. And he's working on me, so just pray for me.
Hello, my name is Malik Champlain. I wanted to ask you, have you spoken to Jordan Davis's mother? And is she helping with the passing of the Trayvon Martin law?
Absolutely. Through the foundation, we are in contact with other families across the country, and even out of the country, we're in contact with families. They contact our foundation because sometimes it's just good to have a few words of encouragement. Sometimes it's just good to know that you're not standing alone. So we are in contact with Jordan Davis's family. We are in contact with several families, and that's a part of the Trayvon Martin Foundation, is to reach out to those families. We help with funeral arrangements if need be, words of encouragement, if they need help setting up a foundation for their loved ones. But we basically deal with victims of senseless gun violence. We try to do things for the brothers and sisters of the person that's deceased. So if it's a young man or a young lady that was shot and killed, we reach out to those families. We try to do something special for those brothers and sisters, because a lot of times the parents try to deal with it as best they can, but the young people is what's really hurting, and we want to make sure that they're healing properly. So yes, we absolutely are in contact with them. We were with them yesterday.
Thank you so much for your grace, and you definitely are a queen.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shanice DeShields, and I work here at UConn in the School of Business. I want to thank you, Ms. Fulton, for sharing your story. I also want you to know that Trayvon Martin will continue, his legacy will live on. And I want to know, what can we do as a community to continue to support your efforts to make the change?
You can start out by visiting our website. It's TrayvonMartinFoundation.org. TrayvonMartinFoundation.org. Through that website, you can find out what we are doing and what cities we will be in or what states we will be in, and contact your loved one, contact your friends and family, and just let them know to come out and support what we're doing. We do have a fundraiser that we do. We have T-shirts that's for sale, and that money goes to the foundation in order for us to try to help other families. We don't get paid through the foundation, so it's not like we're using the money to buy anything with it. We're using the money to actually help other families. So that's another thing. Some things that you can do is make sure that you're keeping abreast of what's going on in the news, what's going on in your city, in your communities. Make sure that you're a registered voter. Make sure that the person that you're sitting next to is a registered voter, and that family members that are 17, that are turning 18, that they get out and they register to vote. I have not talked about this here, but I speak about it all the time, and that's to make sure that you're not only attending UConn, but you are graduating from UConn. So.
Hello, my name is Deja Bailey. Good evening. It was a pleasure having you today. I'm an African American Studies major, and I feel like this case really hit home for me because I used to live in Sanford, Florida for 3 years, and there was a time where I had experienced an act of racism where I was walking to school and I had been called a nigger girl. And that really hit home for me because coming from up here and going there where it's explicit, it's just, you know. And I have a couple of friends who attend school in FAMU, and they knew about this case 2 months prior to me even hearing about it on the news. Do you feel that if this case never had or had the support it did, and the petitions, the riots, if it wasn't for that, would it have gone to the media?
So your question was, do I think
The help of others, coming together and making your voice heard, and getting it into the media, did that help?
Are you referencing the arrest?
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause I heard about this 2 months before it went on to the news. And my friends were telling me about it. They're from Florida and they were there. So they knew it before it hit the news nationwide. So I was asking, if it would have never hit the news nationwide, do you believe that your voice would have been heard? With Trayvon Martin's
I absolutely think that the reason why people heard about it was because it was the colleges and universities that started doing things first. Before CNN and ABC and CBS and all of those stations got involved, it was the college students. It was just regular college students that heard about it, and they was upset about what happened, and they wanted to do something about it, and they actually started the rallies. They started the rallies. One thing for me on a personal level is I was going to the Orlando, Sanford area almost every year when my kids were smaller because we would take them there to the theme parks. And when this first happened, my sister could attest to this. I said I was never going there again. I was never going anywhere close to Sanford, Florida. I couldn't stand to take the risk of another son being killed because of what somebody else perceived. So I told myself I'm never going here again, never. How many of you know that I went back there? And I went back there because, to me, our case was being swept under the rug. It's like, be quiet, go home. Well, how are you going to tell me my 17-year-old son is dead on the ground and you're not going to give me any answers? You couldn't possibly think I was going to stay home. But I think that's what they did. I think they thought that, well, they'll go away. If we don't give them any answers, they'll go away. They'll get tired. Well, I'm still asking questions. You see, so it was absolutely other people. It was absolutely the country that reached out and supported us. And that's why I say it's important to us to give back through the foundation, give back to other families. And that's why it's important for us to come out so you guys can see us in person. Because I know you probably seen me on TV, you probably thought I was much bigger, or much taller, or much taller. Well, I'm just little old me, you know. And, you know, absolutely, absolutely, because it was gonna be a hush-hush thing and it was gonna be swept under the rug. They didn't want to arrest, they didn't want us to do anything. They didn't want us to hear the 911 tapes. I mean, we had nothing, we had no answers, we didn't know anything until we got an attorney involved that sent a letter and then got the ball rolling. And it was the universities and colleges and the students. It was the students, it was you guys that helped get the story out. And that's why I always say thank you.
Let's see if we can get two quick questions in, two last questions.
Okay, I don't have a question. My name is Rhonda Exum. I was invited here by my friend Shanice. I just want to say to you, I feed off of your strength. My husband was killed, and his killer was offered a plea because they didn't have any true witnesses. And the state of Connecticut now passed a law that if you committed a crime under the age of 18, they're now letting you out. So I will have to eventually see my husband's killer. But I look at you and what you went through, and I feed off of your strength. and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Fulton. I just want to echo all the sentiments here. We really appreciate you coming out to UConn. My name is Justice Lopez. I'm a current senior here at UConn, majoring in history and education. I have aspirations of becoming an educator and one day working in DC. And my question to you is, I see you as an advocate for social justice. And my question here is, for the advocates here of social justice, and furthermore for you, how do you personally teach people tolerance? Like, so when you come about, for people who are in the classroom, or somebody who's just walking day to day, or somebody who's just interacting with an individual, I see you and I'm inspired by your talks, but furthermore, how do we go about doing that? Like, how do we teach people tolerance?
One of the things you do is you lead by example. I cannot tell you to be respectable, to have grace, I can't tell you how to carry yourself if I'm doing other things. So what I will tell you is watch me. Watch what I do. And I feel like nobody has hurt more in the Trayvon Martin case than Trayvon's mother and father and family. This has infected us like to the core of our hearts. And I think the process is more like I have to play their game. You have to be able to see a person that's educated, a person that's inspired, a person that's encouraged. That's what they see, and that's what I want to give off. I want to inspire people, but I want them to see the inspiration in me. You kind of understand what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. The tolerance, in order for you to tolerate things and for you to move forward, you have to know your purpose and you have to stay focused. And see, when things were happening in the media and all the negative things they said about my son, that they said about my family, that they said about me, all of those negative things, I brushed it off. Because I had to stay focused on what I needed to focus on. And every time I take my eye off what I'm focusing on, that means I'm paying attention to someplace else and I'm not focusing where I need to be. So I've learned the hard way that I have to stay focused on what I'm pursuing. And that's what I do. And that's the advice that I would give to you. Stay focused on what you're doing. Don't let anything take your eye off of what you need to do and what you need to say and who you are.
Can we please stand up and thank Ms. Fulton again for coming here this evening?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.